So this just happened. Fannie Mae just tossed out its old 620 credit score rule. As of November 16th, the software that approves most home loans will no longer slam the door on anyone under 620. And if you own a home, a retirement account, or even a little cash and savings, this hits you. Because when they change who gets a mortgage, they change who shows up at the table and who might buy your place down the line. And here are the key takeaways you want to remember. They didn't kill credit scores. They killed the one number that shut down borderline files before anyone looked at the real picture. This helps steady people with a messy past. It also drags more buyers into the lowest price part of the market, the same part older homeowners lean on when they downsize or unload a rental. And of course, they buried the update in the fine print where no one was looking. To make this simple, it's like this. For years, getting a mortgage felt like walking up to a club with a "you must be this tall" sign at 620. If you came in at 619, the bouncer didn't even blink. Now the bouncer says, hey, we'll look at your height, but also your cash, your job, and whether you start fights once you get inside. Some new people get in, some still won't. And here's what this releases or threatens. If you got real income and savings but a score in the low sixes, you finally get a real look. If you're a landlord or trying to downsize, you'll likely see a few more qualified buyers. But if you're trying to buy yourself, don't be shocked if things tighten up again at the bottom of the market. And yes, lower scores can get approved, but usually at payments that strain people who are already stretched. And here's why it matters. When the entry-level buyer pool grows, prices at the low end rise first. Rising prices on cheap homes turn into higher taxes, higher insurance, and higher rents across the board. And if these new approvals blow up later, that loss flows through the mortgage system that backs almost every loan. And that bill eventually lands on all of us. And when it comes to the quiet part, no one's saying out loud, they call this flexibility. It's also political cover. Leaders get to say they expanded access without fixing supply, insurance, zoning, or anything that actually makes homes affordable. More approvals mean more loans to package and more fees for the people who package them. And once again, they tweak the rules behind closed doors and tell you nothing's wrong. But here's what the experts are saying. Fannie Mae says their model is smarter than one number. They call it fairness, not risk. Most lenders say, relax, we're keeping our own limits. So don't expect every bank to suddenly welcome sub-620 files. Critics call it slow motion subprime. And the rebuttal is simple. It's not 2008, but if they get sloppy, maybe. Here's what most people are missing. This isn't a credit score story. It's a demand story. Freddie moved first. Fannie matched. And together, they back most mortgages in America. When both giants tilt the same way, the ripple hits prices, rents, tax bills, and retirement plans built on home equity. As always, there are two sides to this story. Side A says, good, responsible renters finally get a shot. Side B says, you loosen rules during an affordability crisis and you're begging for a hangover. And here's what the smartest person in the room is noticing. This is a tiny expansion of the buyer pool, not huge, just enough to give sellers a little more exit power over the next year or two, which is exactly why they rolled it out quietly. But here's what everyone wants to know right now. Can someone with a 610 score get a mortgage now? Maybe, if everything else looks clean. Will this push prices up again? Wouldn't shock me, especially at the starter level. Is this the opening move for looser rules? We don't have clean data on that yet, but both agencies moved the same direction. And does this hit my retirement plan? Absolutely, because the market your home sells into just shifted. Yet here's what we really need to know before we do know what comes next. What's your lender's real floor right now? What rate would they hit you with at your score? And how tight is your monthly budget if rates tick up a little higher? And are you buying because it's smart or because the underwriter gave you a green light? And if you're selling, how does a slightly bigger buyer pool change your timing? If you've got answers to any of those, drop them below. I want to see. Now, has this happened before? Yeah, it has. And here's how it ended. Before 2008, rules loosened way too fast and paperwork just basically vanished. This time, the documents stay, but the pressure to open the door, that's back. So over the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to find out whether this helps stable renters become owners or whether it just props up prices while the real problems stay untouched. The quick translation here for landlords and small investors: a few more of your tenants will qualify to buy, Good for selling older units. Not so great if they move out and leave a hole in your cash flow. You know, there's something that keeps coming up every time I look at these rule changes. Regular people get scared and they pull back. The folks with money do the exact opposite and blow right on through. They step in when everyone else steps out. And this new credit rule, it's the same pattern all over again. They open the door quietly, then the people who understand the system walk straight through it. So I pulled a video out for you that lays out exactly what those people are doing right now. Not the headlines, not the panic, the real behavior that moves markets. So you can check it out here. It'll make the whole credit score change make a lot more sense. And it'll show you why the people who stay calm usually end up on the right side of these shifts.